It's one of those. So it's a film that many people will know the Railway Children from the film. It originally was the book, Edith Nesbit's 1906 novel, The Railway Children. She wrote about 60 different novels, all children's stories, particularly adventure. So it was a strange genre in the Edwardian period of children's adventure stories that were slightly otherworldly. And the Railway Children has certain elements of that, particularly if you remember the trees coming down the hill. Slightly. So the film 1970, starring the late, great Bernard Cribbins, Jenny Agutter from Call the Midwife, amongst other things. It's fantastic. It really gets in the top 100 British-made films every time they do these surveys. Fantastic film. The stage version that we're looking to do next week starts on Thursday at the Gaiety. Is a slightly different version. It's a narrative dramatisation of the book, where the three children explain and said, "Do you remember the time when we were the Railway Children?" And talk through. So there's little bits where they go in character to the audience, to each other, and how they interact. I mean, it's a fantastic coming of age story. The Railway Children. For those that don't know it, three children and their mother are forced to travel to Yorkshire after their father is arrested for espionage. And how they interact with people from different social classes to what they've grown up in. Because they have a very, very comfortable life. They have every toy imaginable, huge nursery, servants, and suddenly they're faced with the reality where they have no money and they're having to meet people that they wouldn't normally. And I think it's a timeless story for our times, and particularly introducing it to the next generation, because many people don't know the Railway Children.
I have to say, and Ben Hartley will be desperately upset with me here, I still haven't watched the film. Isn't that awful? Or read the book.
Right, well, there you go. There's something for your evening viewing.
Okay. Yeah, this is the way to do it. Keira, I have to come to you. Well, first of all, welcome to Max Radio.
Thank you very
You've
much.
been here once before, but it was some time ago. Now you're back, and we're delighted to have you. Tell us a little bit about who you're playing.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So I play Bobby. She's or Roberta, as you've been calling me, Miss Roberta.
Well, that's the proper name.
Proper name. She's the eldest of the Railway Children, the eldest of her siblings. So there's three of them. There's Peter, played by Dan and Sarah, and Phyllis, played by Libby. Bobby's sensitive. She's kind. She's a joy to play. I can't wait to bring it to the stage. And I love her voice too. I put on a posh voice, you put on a Yorkshire voice. Exploring.
Would you be really upset if I did ask you to give us a little preview? I mean, you've mentioned it now. Is there a couple of lines you can give us?
Australian, so I won't do that for the day. I love the Australian accent, I think it's so. But Bobby is very posh. She talks like this, and she's an absolutely delightful. Just a pleasure. Where's your one, Mr. Perks?
Oh, Christ.
We'll just do the whole play now for everyone.
I'm actually from Yorkshire, which is a bit of a surprise to many people. So it feels a little bit like coming home doing some of the accents. But so I'm playing Perks, the Bernard Cribbins part, which I know I was talking to your colleague Howard the other day, and one of the questions he asked was how you mentioned the film, how easy or otherwise is it to approach the play, knowing how famous the film is and how people will immediately think of Bernard Cribbins or Jenny Agutter, who plays the Roberta part in the film. You always have to go back to the original script and think of it. You're not putting on the film, you're putting on and telling the story.
You're not being Bernard, you're being the character. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't try and pretend to be Bernard Cribbins, crikey. That's the real aspirations for her.
But you're enjoying it. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, Keira, you are having an absolute ball by the sound of things. You're really loving it.
At the end of every rehearsal, we all go around and say just little notes about it, and everyone always says that they're just having the best time, that it's really fun. So it's great to just be with everybody when we have so much passion for it.
And how have you gelled with the other young actors? Because you have to have a certain relationship, don't you? How has that been? Your siblings, exactly.
Luckily, we had that from the get-go. We were just immediately clicked. We had that chemistry, and then it was great to build upon it each rehearsal. But thankfully, we were like siblings from the very get-go. So
it's a really lovely experience, all in all. So we know it's not exactly the same as the film, but presumably you have the same, because it's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it, from what I understand? But it's a feel good, isn't it? At the end of the day, it ends happily.
Yes.
Without giving too much away.
Spoilers.
I know.
We go on lots of adventures.
Yeah, so as I said, it's a coming-of-age story where the children interact with different people. And there are certain moments when you come of age, you experience different things, and there are difficulties along that way, and it's part of the growth story. So it starts off with them looking in retrospect. Do you remember the summer when we were the railway children? And they talk about, you remember Perks, or you remember Mrs. Viney, or you remember the old gentleman, or Mr. Shapansky, or Frying Pansky as he gets called at one point in the play, and how they meet people from different and learn. But it's not just a one-way thing. It's the other way. So there's one scene where I get given lots of presents, and he's a very proud man, Perks. He doesn't have much, but what he has got, he's earned, and come on with these heaps and heaps of presents. And he gets really angry.
He's launching into heaps and heaps of presents.
So I've gone this charity with me, but then he grows.
Mellows.
Yeah, and he says, well, actually, no, I know I've thought of it as charity, but actually you were trying to do the right thing and doing the right thing, and he's trying to he grows as an individual, so not just the children, but
I think it's
their
wonderful
interaction
because it comes
with
from the
others.
children's perspective as well. It was just innocent. I think that's a lot of innocence throughout it as well. It brings some light to dark moments.
People being very cynical about their lives, but actually meeting people. And this is something that, because it's a children's story, and I think because not many... So we went around the room when we did rehearsal a couple of weeks ago with the children, so 9, 10, 11 years old, also Carl's students, and many of them never heard of it. And so with all these famous children's stories, maybe 2 or 3 out of the 20 that we've got had heard of the story. So bringing these stories that we grew up with to the next generation and introducing, because there are timeless things like meeting people from different backgrounds who you have to learn. You can't just live closed lives and be dismissive of others. You've got to be open. And yes, you might get things wrong, but ultimately you come together.
So the morals of it still stand today, obviously.
Correct.
And do you think it matters, Keira, that you don't... I would have thought maybe if you don't know it to start with, perhaps it gives you more of a freedom with the characters, do you think? Or would you prefer to know it previously?
I read the book when Carl said, would you like to be Bobby? My answer was yes. And then I was like, I can't admit that I've not read The Railway Children. So I read the book. Even in rehearsals, you pulled up clips of the film for me to look at as reference. But I did want to make it my own Bobby. I didn't want it to be a mimic of something else. I did want to develop on my own, bring something that I have done to it. So it was good to have reference points, but not to copy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how fond you both are of your characters. It's really coming across. It sounds like you're both sort of learning things from your characters as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone is going to come along to this, what can they expect then? I want a hard sell, John. Go on. Give us a hard sell.
Okay. Well, first of all, the shows are on 20th, 21st, 22nd of April. So from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we're doing a 2:00 matinee and a 7:00 evening performance. The show in total is around about an hour and a half or so with a 20-minute interval.
Over.
Yeah.
And it's trying to be aiming getting people into the theatre. Because one of the things we say about the Gaiety, it's fantastic theatre. And once you get people in, and for those who've been to previous Parker and Snell productions, some people, it's the first time they've ever stepped foot into the Gaiety Theatre.
My word.
Amazing Matching theatre. And once they're in, they're hooked.
It's
and
magic.
It won't just be the first show they'll go and see. They'll think, I haven't seen that. I'll go and see it. Like we've got the Easter Festival of Plays on tonight at the Gaiety, getting people from across. They come back year after year. We needed to make the most of this fantastic space.
We're so fortunate to have it, yeah. Is there a train on the stage? That's what I want to know.
If only that was so. I mean, the thought of we did think about it. We're talking to Alex and your colleague here about get Groudle Glen and get a steam train on the stage. I'm not quite sure that he'll take the weight, but you'll have to come and see what
there'll
we
be
can
a
do
way
in trying
of
to
doing it.
create that atmosphere and the joy
I'm
of
sure
the steam
you will
railway.
do. And Keira, what's your favourite thing about the production?
I absolutely adore the costumes. That's, if I can say that. I love the acting too, but the costumes, I love a period piece. And some of them are genuine Victorian pieces. So it's really, really immersive to look at it all together with all of our little costumes on. I've got a bonnet. I'm very excited about the bonnet.
Oh, lovely. So it looks and sounds and feels absolutely genuine. And it is, as you said, immersive. So people are going to walk out of the theatre feeling something from this production.
Hopefully without a dry eye in the house.
Exactly.
Just for those that know the ending.
I know. Well, Ben will be crying already thinking about it.
I think one of the jokes we said when we started was, providing we get that one line right, when the steam billows.
Even I know
the
that
news
line,
comes
and I've
in,
not
the
seen
music
it.
builds. Bobby stands on the platform, the smoke billows. I won't spoil it for those that haven't seen it before, but it's quite a moment.
I fancy getting to deliver one of the most definitive lines.
I
mean,
know.
that's just incredible. Well, listen, I wish you all the very best. Obviously, break a leg, we'll have to say that.
Thank
of
you so
course,
much.
it's the Gaiety Theatre from next week, so do get your tickets as soon as you can because I'm sure it will sell extremely well.
VillaGaiety.com.
VillaGaiety.com. John knows this thing.